Hello, this video is going to look at using iced task, a set of concurrent actions to be formed by the iced runtime. What does that mean? So you've got task perform, and perform, you can see this function signature here. Long story short, creates a task, runs a given future to completion, and maps its output with the given closure. You see, you've got the closure fn once there. So that's what's going on behind the scenes. How do we actually use it? Don't forget to subscribe and algorithms and all that. So what we've got is some code here using iced task. I'll show you the cargo toml as well because this is important. You see we've got iced and then features Tokyo. I'm also using Tokyo, but you don't have to. It's just that this example I'm doing does use Tokyo. But the key thing to remember here is that when you import iced, add the features Tokyo. That's if you're doing something async. So as before, the first video I did yesterday, I just kind of did as a refresher because I come back to iced after a break, and the version had changed from 0.13 to 0.14. Some nice differences actually, if you were familiar with 0.13, especially actually running it with the very, very clean now. You just pass in the update and the view to iced run. Anyway, this is pretty much the example we saw in the previous video. We've got a struct, then we've got an impl of the same name. So that could be, I think in the previous version and in the examples, it's always counter. You could call it anything. You could call it monkey, helicopter, whatever. As long as that matches that, you're in business, you're off to the races. So struct, and then you have the impl with the view in the update. The other piece you always need is the enum, which contains the things which happen. So you want to increment, you want to decrement, that's the up and down values, plus and minus, and then the increment finish. So this is what we've added for the async part. So let's look at view first. So we're going to return something. Before we weren't returning anything. Here we return a column, which is a struct, and a message. It's the type of parameter telling the column what kind of messages its widgets use. So we've got the buttons as before on press. So when you press the button, it switches to the message increment variant of the message enum. Opposite for decrement. Then we've got let counter equals self.value. Self.value being the value of, the value belonging to the instance that we've created, which is, the instance will be app. See that down here on this line. I'll skip to the good bit. So we're just returning interface. That's our variable name. So it's basically the column macro with each of these buttons. Then we return it. And that interface is of type column unknown lifetime, comma, message. That still slightly confuses me why it's got that and that, but right. So this is a good bit. Update. We have passing in the self. So that's the app message. So message will be what's happening here. If we're incrementing or decrementing, decrement's the easy one to explain. Just reduce the value by 1. If we're incrementing, this is the task. So the task is an async task. Async means you kind of start it and you don't get the response straight away. So this could be something network based. It could be making a request to a remote web server or a local web server, anything that's got an unknown time to completion. Now this matches the function or rather, this matches the function signature that we saw at the start in the slide. Task. So we import ice_task up here on the first proper line. So task, and then that gives us perform. And perform allows you to do something async, start a task. When it runs to completion, you've then got the closure, and the closure will be closure which returns message increment finished, which is this next bit here. You're moving from in progress to completion. The task message here is not, that's still a future, as I understand it. That's still a future, and it's being passed to the iced runtime, which runs it to completion. So you're passing the instructions, and then the runtime actually does it all. So this bit of code is still, even here, it's the instruction rather than the actual completed value. So as ever, we've got column, button, column. So that's the macro. Column there, that's a struct. Button's a function, text is a function. So now you're waiting for me to run this, which most people do at the start of the video, so I apologize for that. Click 0, wait a second, and it goes up to 1. Click 1, wait a second, goes up to 2. So increment has got like a 1 second delay because it's async, because it's going off to some mystery location and taking a while. But the decrement is instant. See, that's the time delay. That is because of this. So to get this to work, so this is basically faking, this line is just faking a task, which is asynchronous. So if you're using request, REQWEST, that would be async. So there we go. That's how to, or very, very simple overview on how to use iced task. Commonly, you'll also see task none there as well. Which slightly confuses me, which I'm not going to go into here, because I don't know it. But there we go. Task none. Keep an eye out for that, because you may or may not need to use that after you've processed the message. In fact, I do know what happens. So this part here sets the message. And then at the end, you've got task none. So this is all doing everything in place. And then task none, because you're returning a type of, this is all handling the message. And then here you need to return no task. So it's expecting type of task with some kind of message, and the message that you're passing back will be none. You're still doing all the message stuff, and the message is still doing all the async stuff. So that's all running because it's running here with app update. That's how I understand it. Maybe wide of the mark, but this works, and I'm starting to get familiar with the pattern. So in the next video, I may do something more interesting, such as make a network request or so on. I have actually written something already with this, but I don't want to unveil it yet. Still work in progress. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up and all that.